All right, it is 4:30. I will call this meeting of the Water and Sewer Authority of Cabarrus County to order. Thank you all for coming. It looks like we have a quorum. Randy Holloway, one of our board members, is on Zoom, just more viewing than anything. But welcome to everybody. I thought since we have new members, it will be a good idea to go off script here and just introduce ourselves. We'll do an oath of office here in a few minutes for our three new members and for Rob, but I'm Mike Legg, City Manager in Kannapolis, WSACC Chair, been on the board, I don't know, 2 decades or so, I think so. But we're really happy to have your presence here on this board. You'll do a great job, and we look forward to working with you. So why don't we start with the board members, and then we can introduce staff and make sure you sort of see the key players in the room. So
sure.
Go either way.
So I'm the only lady. Jennifer Parsley Hubbard. I'm with the City of Concord. I know you, Doug. I know you, Chris. And Josh, how about had the pleasure to meet you, but welcome.
Thank you. Jeff Corley, Director of Water Resources for the City of Concord. Vice Chair, been on here a handful of years now. Seems like yesterday, but years are starting to pile up. But
Am I up? Okay. Rob Dunham, the town manager for Harrisburg. I've been on the board 3 years now, around there, but I've also been involved with, WSACC as the town engineer, public works director at Harrisburg. Commissioner Doug, we know each other. We just got introduced, and I think everybody else in the room knows me by now. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with everybody.
And I'm Darrell Hinnant, Mayor of Kannapolis. I'm the second representative for the city of Kannapolis. And I was asked to come here 6 months after he showed up here. So we have been here 23 years.
wow,
Board uninterrupted. So it's great to be here. Great all of you all to be here. We're looking forward to working with you.
Javon Cannon, Executive Director of WSACC. Been with WSACC for about 18 years, in my current role since September, this past September. So, been getting my feet wet as Executive Director, but have a lot of time here at the authority.
Shannon Kincaid, Executive Secretary and Executive Secretary to the Board of Directors. I have been here about 1.5 years, so I definitely love filling this role. So welcome. I had to finally put a face with a name for you.
You want to have some of your key staff? I mean,
Yes, Chris and Thomas and Robin and Wendy, if y'all at least introduce yourselves.
and our esteemed attorney.
Yes, definitely. Last but not least.
I'm Chris Carpenter, been with WSACC about 24 years. I'm the wastewater operations director. Been in that role just about 6 months, about the first part of August. Maintenance manager before the.
I'm Thomas Hahn. I'm the engineering director with WSACC. Been here about 10 years overall in my current role since August.
Wendy Hegler. I've been with WSACC about 2.5 years, but I have over 20 years of experience in local government finance.
Robin Moore. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of Administration, and I've been with the authority as long, almost as long as Darrell Mike's been on one. I've been here 20 years, and welcome aboard. We're glad to have you.
William?
Sure. William Eisenhower. I've been outside general counsel for WSACC since 2017, so about 8 years now. It's hard to believe, but I attend these board meetings, work with you guys. I've worked with Doug over the years on a couple of things, and look forward to having 3 new board members on board.
New board members, maybe introduce. I think we know and we've met, but yeah, just.
I'm Chris Meesmer. I'm the newly elected chairman of the Cabarrus County Commission Board, and I appreciate all the introductions and look forward to working with you.
I'm Joshua Mendoza, longtime Cabarrus County resident, Charlotte native. I am a licensed general contractor, and we specialize in residential homes, spec and custom. And we build in Cabarrus County, Charlotte, Mecklenburg, Union counties, basically anywhere around here. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you.
You need sewer, don't you?
It'd be nice. We make do with septic where we need to.
Doug?
I'm Doug Paris. I'm the town manager for Midland, North Carolina, and I am super excited to join the board.
Okay, let's roll into our business agenda. We're gonna start off. Shannon's gonna do an oath of office for our 3 new board members and renewal oath of office for Rob.
Okay, so if you will all please stand. Place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Doug Paris,
Do solemnly affirm
solemnly affirm
that I will support and maintain
I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of my office of Director
of my office as the Director,
of the Water and Sewer Authority of Cabarrus County.
the Water and Sewer Authority of Cabarrus County.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Never get more nervous than when I have to say the oath of office that I'm just getting.
Hand on the ball.
Well, yeah. It was a serious commitment. It's like, what, did I say therewith? Is that
I don't know whether it's more pressure doing it by yourself alone or together with.
I feel like it was better. Every time, it's like, don't mess it up, don't mess it up.
Good job. All right, do move to adoption of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to adopt this agenda? A motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's move to unfinished business. We have request for approval of the minutes from the December 18th, 2024 meeting. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
I'll move for approval.
Motion to approve and here a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, Mr. Von Cannon, you gonna give us an update on some activities?
Yes, well, first off, I do want to welcome our new members, and Rob, glad to have you back with us for another term here on the board. So I think you'll find this board to be a very efficient but yet productive board. We try to keep the meetings moving and not any longer than they need to be, but every now and then we run into a situation where we do have to have longer meetings if the topics kind of drag it to that. But I do welcome you guys. I encourage you to reach out anytime, questions, things you'd like to have discussed. Any of our board members should know that, but please reach out and we can always address things and add things to agendas as we need to. I do want to, kind of mention that 2025 is I think, going to be a very big and critical year for us as an organization. We've been obviously knee deep, waist deep, neck deep. I don't know how you want to describe an expanding Rocky River over the last couple of years and bringing that some capacity online and more here in the next couple of years. But during that time, we've been completing our master plan for our service area here and currently working really hard on a facilities plan and an inflow and infiltration study to look at preserving the capacity that we already have and have built in our systems, but then also in the facilities plan, looking at where do we go from here? What are the next steps? And I emphasize steps. It's not just one. It's going to be multiple things that we need to do. So you're going to notice as we move on into the spring and summer, there's going to be a lot of big discussions that need to be had, decisions that need to be made on exactly how aggressive, conservative, however we want to phrase some of that, we're going to get into having capacity into the future and meeting those needs. So we've really taken a hard look and effort and a big investment in studying where we're going to need to be, what our existing facilities are, and what our options are going to be as we move forward. So I think this is going to kind of be the year where these studies, the rubber meets the road. We kind of start taking all of this information we've been learning and studying and moving forward. One thing I will emphasize that with this facilities plan that we're completing, it's not just a study. It's also, we're going to be coming out with the alternatives that we select with conceptual designs on those. So, you know, that's in that 15-20% type of a design range, something that we can actually get a decent cost estimate on, a decent idea of how long it's going to take to construct, and something that we can easily parlay into further design, progressive design build options, different, you know, it'll be a good tool that we'll have to move forward on the options that we select. So, that's enough on that, but it is going to be a big year for us. And so it's good to have, active participation, plenty of questions and discussions going to be needed, and it's all going to be welcome for sure. I do want to provide a quick update on what flows we saw for 2024. Nothing dramatically changed. So we were up 130,000 gallons a day at the Rocky River plant for the year. So we went from 22.11 million gallons a day to 22.24. So pretty small increase, but we did see an increase. That increase and that flow for 2024 takes us to 74% of our permitted capacity right now. Of the 30 NGD capacity, we're at 74% of that. That does mean that most likely with the number of connections that we saw, there should be a small adjustment that goes back to the jurisdictions. It's not going to be anything game changing by any means, but it's definitely not going to mean that we're going to have to pull any capacity back. So I think that's obviously good news from the jurisdictional standpoint. We did see a lot of construction. We did see a lot of things going on, a lot of system development fees over the last year or so. So it should be a decent adjustment, but I don't think it's going to be game changing. As for Muddy Creek went from 187,000 gallons a day to 197,000 gallons a day. So a 10,000 gallon a day increase. I think that track's kind of making sense. There's been some homes built in Midland Crossing. There's been, you know, a few things built there. And that brings Muddy Creek to 66% of capacity currently, right at 66%. Any questions on the flows or?
I have kind of a related question, and it might be for later, but have you guys done any comparison on, like, as paper capacity becomes, you know, online versus what does it look like at the plant? Is it coming on 1-to-1? Is it a 70% like our residential ones in Harrisburg? Is it too difficult to track?
With the weather impacts, it's really hard to track. You know, we do know that even with the reduction to 75 gallons per day per bedroom, that number realistically is more like 45 or 50 gallons per day per bedroom. So as you bring 100,000 gallons of paper capacity online, you're probably seeing 60 gallons of actual flow. You know, something in that order of magnitude. But then the impacts from inflow and infiltration and just wet weather just kind of muddy that water so much that it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. It's be difficult to get the right data, but it would be interesting, especially if we decide to go back and ask for a revision again at some point, to be able to have that data. Say, okay, look, we've put on 3 million paper capacity into the system, and it went up 2 million.
Well, and where you can really look at that and where we do is when you look at that over a extended period of time. Yeah. So let's say you look at a 5-year window. And over that 5-year window, you've had 7 million gallons worth of paper capacity connect, but your flow's only gone up 3 or 4. You would see that over an extended period of time, 1 month or a 1 year. It can be impacted so much by weather.
Sorry to get you off topic.
No, not a bit, not at all. We did have a group of staff go up to the mountains. That was actually when December 9th. Made a trip up to the mountains to do some volunteer work up there, and Wendy led that effort and kind of organized that. So I'm gonna have her say just a little bit about that trip.
15 of us volunteered to go partner with Samaritan's Purse. We went up to Asheville. I have just a couple of pictures, probably easier to show you. We 50 in total, but we did get into 2 different groups going up there. That was us all. We took our picture at the end, so we see how dirty we were. Working hard. But so the first group, Thomas sort of was with them. Sorry if I need anything, Thomas, let me know. So I know they were they brought their own chainsaws and up there cutting trees, and I know did some roof work. and whatever else.
Got a lot of
Maybe
trees.
Put a lot of trees, so we were able to supply chainsaws and our equipment to help them with that. And there's Thomas wheelbarrowing some trees.
I wouldn't recommend that method, but.
And so, and then the second group I was with, you can see that this house, experienced a mudslide. And, we were taking, there's the 2 propane tanks and you can see where the mudslide covered them completely with mud, and we took out the mud bucket by bucket until, they were able, to get the propane company. They took pictures and they were very excited that they were able to get, I guess exposed where the propane company would come out and fill up their tanks so they could get the heat that they needed. I think and you can see that boulder there, that's the house, and then we're working in that little area, and that boulder was not there before the hurricane that landed on their retaining wall. And that's where the garage, I think they had the mud all over their driveway, and it took like $10,000 in work just to get their driveway cleared out, and that's us taking the buckets out and throwing it over to the side, and we helped them get tarps to try to stabilize the side of the mountain, so hopefully they wouldn't experience anymore. But I think the homeowner said it'd be, a couple $100,000 more just to stabilize that area where they wouldn't need to worry about when it rained. So, but we were very fortunate to go and help them. And we left at 5 o'clock in the morning, drove up that morning, and came back that night. And it was a good experience, good teamwork and experience, and able to help others.
You look like you're right in your element, Thomas.
I'm sorry?
You look like you're right in your element there.
I enjoyed it. It was a good trip.
So that was a great thing for our staff to do. It was my understanding we had 15 was limited. We were kind of limited to 15, and we had more than that wanting to go. So I imagine it's something may do again. So I just wanted to recognize that effort. Last thing I have is several months ago, we showed you the fly-through video of the expansion of Rocky River all the way to phase 4. We had our engineer do a little bit of updates to that model to add some tags identifying what things are, and then extremely controversial decision on what music we chose to play in the background. I wanted Top Gun theme music as we flew the plant, and the others wanted Indiana Jones, and we settled on some elevator music. But we're gonna go through this again, especially for our new board members here. But this is something that we're able to share with you, to show to your boards or to staffs or to whatever else, just to give an idea of what Rocky River, what all's being done and what it's gonna look like once it's complete. It's about a 3-minute long fly through here, so.
That's not Top Gun.
No, I didn't win. This basin here that they're showing is complete and in service now. Lower building here is also complete with phase 3, with 3 of the 7 blowers installed and working at this time. The other 4 blowers for phase 4 are here and on site in the building, just not installed yet. The work, the secondary clarifiers, the 8 secondary clarifiers is underway. That's all part of phase 4 expansion, including these new pump stations. The flume and chlorine contact basin was completed in phase 3. Small air equalization basin here and NEF unit is completed and in use as part of phase 3. The larger EQ next to it that we'll see in a second is being under construction now. Maintenance canopy has been completed. It's phase 3, and it is in use by WSAC. Big sludge pump station is near completion. It's actually part of phase 3. It was not required for capacity associated with phase 3, but it and the 2 new thickeners are close to complete. New interceptor building's underway. It's part of phase 4, or no, it's part of phase 3. And will be completed later this year. The existing area used by engineering and maintenance at the plant had to be removed for pump station. Yeah.
Right.
Pretty right. So if anybody has any desire to get a copy of this or to have it show to anyone or just to have it in hand in case something comes up about it, just let us know. It's certainly.
Can we put it on the website? Is it?
Yeah, I think we should be able to. I don't see any reason not to.
We can.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I will let you know, phase 4, I talked to our contractor today. Phase 4 is right around 30% completed. And we are on schedule, still on schedule with the previous schedule there to be completed in 2027. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Chad? Okay, we're moving to some reports. Wendy?
For our investment policy, I provide the investment information to the board. And then I also include just a very high level revenues, expenditures. We're right on track with our revenues and expenditures right at 50%. If you ever want any more detail, anything, I'll be glad to provide it, and I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have them about these reports that I provided. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. All right, Thomas. We're gonna get a CIP update. I think this is perfect timing for our new board members, but always a refresher for us too. We've been a while. So
And new pictures throughout, so.
there you go. So take it away.
Did want to take a moment. We do have a new staff member as of this week, so we all gave our tenures at WSAC. Kevin has been here for 3 days now. We're hoping for a lot more days after that. But he is in the role of Assistant Engineering Director. We've been looking for that since my promotion back in August. So we are thrilled to have Kevin here. Kevin comes down here from Maryland. Got a lot of experience with large utilities there, both as a consultant and on the utility side mainly. So we're happy to have you down here.
Welcome.
So you'll see Kevin up here, so I'm giving some presentations as well. But did want to go through our capital improvement project updates. This is by no means an exhaustive list of what we have going on. We have all sorts of studies and construction projects going, but these are some of the largest that we have at the moment going. So we'll go through wastewater treatment plant construction, phase 3 and phase 4 at Rocky River. We will go through a collection system, that being the Lower Cottle Creek Parallel Interceptor and the Back Creek Parallel Interceptor, and some studies and conceptual designs that Chad was mentioning earlier, including our master plan, our facilities plan, and our inflow and infiltration study. So Chad talked a good bit about phase 3. You just saw the fly through, which covered many of these elements. Here's some current pictures from phase 3. The contractor has continued their electrical work and exterior work over at the thick and sludge pump station and at gravity thickeners 3 and 4. So those are not required for phase 3 capacity, but they are built as part of phase 3 and will be required for phase 4 capacity. So those are moving along nicely. You see down below, kind of jumping to the bottom, we're hoping to complete final inspections and obtain certificate of occupancy for the thick and sludge pump station over the next couple of months here. So that's very close to being completed. Meanwhile, the contractor is also continuing their demolition of the old medium voltage switch gear, the loop, the equipment, and the wiring for that. They're continuing electrical work and interior work at the thick and sludge pump station as well. We are rehabbing our primary clarifier, so they're currently still working on primary clarifier number 5. Painting in extreme cold weather is not something that always works out, so they're making sure they pay attention to their temperatures and those sorts of things. They're doing some painting inside the dewatering building, and then they are continuing grading and paving at the interceptor building. Once that building's complete, we can demolish the trailer where my office and Kevin's office is currently, and we can move up into that area to make room for that pump station. So phase 4 expansion is also well underway. Over the last month, they have poured exterior walls and done leak tests at secondary clarifier distribution box number 2. We have received, as Chad said, we did receive those remaining phase 4 blowers. And they are at the blower building currently. And so they're being installed. You can see them kind of wrapped in plastic in the foreground in that top left picture there. They have started placing rebar for the ballast slab at equalization tank 2. So Chad kind of highlighted that larger equalization tank as part of the fly-through. You can see that in the lower left-hand corner there. And for reference, that is a full-size backhoe that's kind of in the left side of the picture there. So that's an enormous structure that will help us out during wet weather conditions. Over the next month, they're going to continue to install the RAS force main between the aeration basins, work on setting the RAS meter vault. They're going to continue rebar placement for the anoxic basin. That's the lower right picture there, what they're working on there. Continue pouring sister walls inside of aeration basin number 5 as we rehab that structure and give it some more capacity. Continue that preparing for that ballast slab at EQ tank 2. Of note there, we are going to do that in 2 pours, and that will be 300 concrete trucks per pour. So that's going to be quite an effort to get that ballast slab in place. Continue installing the new blowers, and then they're also working on the dissolved air flotation thickeners building, getting the piping installed underneath where it will be. So moving on.
Before you move on to that, I do for our new members, I do want to point out, because sometimes it gets a little confusing, to phase 3 and phase 4. Okay. Originally we were expanding to 34 MGD as part of this expansion. We broke it into phase 3 and phase 4 to expand to 30 and then 34 to try to get capacity quicker. When we were breaking that down, there were some items that were identified that weren't required for 30 MGD of capacity, but our contractor felt they could go ahead and start working on during the process of phase 3 to give them a leg up or to get them a little bit ahead for phase 4. That's the reason for the phase 3 work that's taking place after we have the capacity. So we have the 30 MGD, the capacity that came along with the phase 3 expansion is in hand. We have that. We are a 30 million gallon a day plant, but there is still this ongoing work for this calendar year that is taking place that is still being funded out of the monies that were obtained with phase 3. So that's kind of what's going on with that. And it all has to be completed for phase 4 to be done and to get the 34 MGD capacity. So sorry, Thomas.
No problem. The graphic at the very end of that fly-through video breaks that down with colors for the different facilities, which ones were required for phase 3 capacity, phase 4 capacity, and then which ones we did in phase 3 to get a head start on phase 4 because we had that capability. Wanted to move on to a couple of collection system projects, a couple parallel interceptors that we're working on. Lower Cottle Creek, is in progress currently. The contractor, RH Price, is continuing the relocation of the existing 30-inch line, the downstream end of that project. And so their next steps are going to be to finalize and activate that relocated pipe, and begin laying, the 48-inch pipeline, going north roughly along Cottle Creek from there. This project is also kind of broken into phases. We are going to request approval within the coming month here for the notice to proceed from the state for phase 2. So we've got all that kind of laid out. It's all ready to go. It's just in a separate phase, so we're getting through that paperwork now. Back Creek Parallel Interceptor is not quite as far along. This board considered the proposal for construction phase services and for the bidder for this work, for the contractor to perform this work at the last board meeting. So this board approved that. We have submitted both the notice to proceed for the contractor and the construction phase services proposal to the state for their review and approval. Since this is state funding, there's a process to go through with them for that. Moving forward, we will also select and finalize pre and post blast monitoring sorts of work and construction materials testing for this project. And then field work will start once we've got that notice to proceed approval from the state. Master plan update. As Chad mentioned, this has been an enormous multi-year effort. WSACC partners from all around the county, from Charlotte Water and Black and Veatch, of course, have worked with us to form this master plan, to have the projections, those sorts of things. The master plan itself, that report is finalized. We are working on some remaining dashboard items. So the flow acceptance dashboard, and you see a screenshot of part of it here, is finalized. We are working on a couple of hiccups with the jurisdictional flow monitoring dashboard and the CIP, the capital improvement project dashboard, getting those over into the software in our system, getting those fully communicating with the spreadsheets that they pull data from and those sorts of things. Black and Veatch, meanwhile, is also continuing to develop environmental documentation. The engineering alternatives analysis is the formal term there for the new MPDES permit for 50 MGD at the Rocky River plant. So we've got a permit in hand for 34 MGD. We're working towards expansion for that actively with the work that you saw in the previous slides. This is what's going to give us that permit for the next. We don't have to go to 50 MGD, but it just gives us the leeway between 34 and 50 MGD to be able to expand within that window. So that could be multiple expansions along the way there. We do have an MPDES permit page for up to 1 million gallons per day for Muddy Creek. So this kind of gets us into the same condition for Rocky River. So moving on to the wastewater treatment facilities plan and preliminary engineering report. I keep telling you I'd like to have a shorter name for it, and I haven't found one yet. But we did receive and provide comments for a couple of key technical memoranda this month. That being biological process modeling for Muddy Creek and capacity analysis for Muddy Creek. There is one more TM for Muddy Creek along the way towards the alternatives analysis task for that work. And that is the hydraulic capacity assessment TM. So they'll be completing that soon. They will be completing several plant analysis TMs for the Rocky River plant, completing their water quality modeling TM for Cottle Creek and Wolf Meadow Branch, continuing development of alternatives analysis for both wastewater treatment expansion in the Rocky River service area and in the Muddy Creek service area. And then the final outcome from this phase of this project is the preliminary engineering report and the conceptual design for this wastewater treatment expansion selected alternatives there.
When do you think that final step, the conceptual design, will be ready for Muddy Creek?
Sure. So they are projecting August of this year, which I believe is what I shared with you previously on that. We will have a peek at that in the interim. So in the springtime of this year, the alternatives analysis, excuse me, will be complete for both Rocky River and Muddy Creek. So we'll have a peek at the alternative that's selected then.
Is staff comfortable sharing that peak with me and maybe also with the town council in the form of some type of presentation?
Yes, absolutely. So we can do that. You know, we'll want to we get these TMs as a draft. We look over it, make sure everything makes sense. They haven't missed something big that we can see. And then we'd be happy to share it after that point.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And I think I've covered everything here. So we will be getting more of these memos along the way. The springtime of this year, as I just shared, will be kind of that key peek at the alternatives analysis. Some very preliminary layouts and that sort of thing, and looking at what best suits each of these service areas. Springtime, again, overall completion of the project projected for August. Our inflow and infiltration study, Chad mentioned preserving the capacity we already have. So inflow and infiltration is something that all utilities can kind of struggle with. HDR has done a great job on this project. They have recently provided a draft TM on the subbasin analysis and I&I management strategy roadmap. So that's a bigger mouthful than the previous one. But what this means is that they have looked at all these meters, both WSACC permanent meters, all these temporary meters that we have installed, working with our partners throughout this study. And they have identified several key areas that are prioritized areas for I&I improvement to investigate further and to look at ways to improve I&I within those areas. So we have reviewed that TM. We have provided comments to HDR. Our partners are reviewing it now. Charlotte Water, all the Cabarrus County partners as well are reviewing that, and they are having their own opportunity to provide comments to HDR. We do a call every 2 weeks on this study. So the next steps for HDR will be to finalize that TM that I just mentioned on those prioritized areas. They are going to develop summary sheets for each of those prioritized areas. So we'll have 16 different summary sheets telling us all about each area and their recommendations for moving forward with I&I reduction in that area. And then we're going to have a draft recommendations review meeting with HDR and WSACC partner representatives on January 29th. So I guess 2 weeks from today. They're going to prepare, as part of this, have some inspection and repair cost estimates for capital planning for each of these prioritized areas. And they are also reviewing existing policies for WSACC and WSACC partners to see if they've got any policy recommendations that they might provide based on what they see from other utilities throughout the country. So with that, I'll be happy to take any other questions you may have.
So I have a question about the I&I study.
Sure.
Each of those sheets, are they gonna have, from an impact perspective, like if they're looking at a certain area, is it gonna have, you know, an approximate leakage? I don't know all your engineering terms, right? But like, how are they measuring, and then are they gonna have that then total measurable impact? Like what is that gonna kind of look like?
Sure, we have seen some details on that for a couple of areas so far. One is along a WSACC interceptor, and we are preparing an SOQ or a RFQ to go out to the engineers to get engineers to come back and give us a proposal for design. So within that, they identified a I&I rate. So how many million gallons do you expect to get per inch of rainfall that comes in? It varies based on where the rainfall is, how intense the rainfall is in that spot versus somewhere upstream, on all sorts of factors. So it's a pretty wide range. So they do identify that relative impact. That being said, even after repairs, no system is 100%, leak free, as far as things coming in. So if, I think Jeff could probably speak to this too, but it's kind of hard to chase an exact amount with that, but we will have ideas for relative orders of magnitude. If we do some work here, we expect it to pay this sort of dividend. If we do work over here, maybe it's more, maybe it's less, based on.
And even though it's for that particular impact,
You
the
gotta-
saving is actually at the
Correct.
plant.
Correct.
When you reduce the amount of inflow that's coming to the plant, you don't have to treat as much sewage or water as a result of it. And that's where the savings will come. And then we just have to compare how many of those little puddles we can fix and then what the total impact will be.
So you
And
have
as you know,
impact and-
we still have a pretty small budget for doing all that. I mean, either one of those little locations could suck up all the budget that we have right now, and that may be something we have to look at very seriously, because that then prevents us from having to worry about going past 50 million gallons, because hopefully we can save 3 or 4 or 5 million gallons of capacity just from the I&I repairs.
And from our discussions on our program, we believe it's the right thing to do and we heavily invest. Can I give you a business case return on investment? Absolutely not, right? It's just hard to, but you identify and you prioritize and you target where it makes the most sense to target, and just know that you are having a tangible benefit, even though you can't hold it in your hand.
And what you fundamentally, the problem you have is, say, for someone like, even for WSAC, if you work on 3 miles of line, well, your other 140 miles of line are now a year or two older. So you maybe not even see a reduction in flow, because the remaining 98% of your system got a little bit worse because it got a little bit older. But it essentially does have to just become a program that you're just taking bites. But it was important to us, to our engineer, and I think our engineer understands that and feels the same way. There needs to be some form of a business case look that you can make at it. There needs to be something there. It's going to be hard to ever find many things that you're like, oh yeah, we spend $1 million here and we're going to save $1 million on what we have to pay WSAC. That's
But it does
probably.
sound like we'll have some impact and be able to look at the investment and make those decisions and order those decisions properly.
Correct. That's the
That's
goal.
the big thing, right?
That's
Is the ordering.
That is the goal. And also to have the ability between the master plan, between this I&I study to continually look at things, not just look right now, but to be able to look at things as new flow data comes in and as.
And we might find that one area is in a very low area. So an inch of rain gives a problem there. And in some other locations, it takes 4 inches of rain in order to impact that area. And we may have to make all those decisions as to, okay, which one is going to be impacted first, second, and third, because you're not going to get a 5-inch rain every day.
Yeah.
You might get an inch rain every day. You can then figure out what the possibilities are going to be to fix this one versus that one. So it will be very complex.
And this study looks at, to be clear, it looks at member jurisdiction, portions of the collection system. It looks at the WSAC portions of the collection system. We are all interconnected with that. So it looks at that, and it does give phases within each, summary sheet that they're developing. For phase 1 in this area would be to attack these manholes in this section of line. It's in the floodplain. We feel like you can get a lot of benefit for looking at that. And then you could move to phase 2, which is, maybe along your feeder streams coming into that sort of thing. So it allows you to break it down a little bit.
Those are good questions we all have to
Is
answer.
that sub-basin analysis detailed enough to understand the WSAC interceptor from the jurisdiction stuff? Like, did you go kind of a little bit upstream of the interceptor and be able to check the member jurisdiction flow in versus what's being added to it?
Yes, it's not a silver bullet for, attack this 1,000 feet of pipe and the world's going to be great afterwards. But it does, we did look at, what are contributions within the WSAC pipes, the best we can tell, and using that approach you mentioned, Rob, kind of moving just upstream of the WSAC interceptor. What flows are we seeing there with some of our temporary meters that we were able to put in? So they've got this dashboard that's a GIS-based dashboard, kind of a heat map of different areas. It's been a really fabulous tool so
Yeah,
far.
they do good work. It's yours. On top of it.
Other questions for Thomas? Okay, thank you for your work, Thomas. For the update. All right, we will open it up for any public comments, for anybody here that would like to address the board. Hearing none, we have a really quick closed session, but do I hear a motion to go into closed session under GS 143-318-11A1?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion,
Second.
got a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are in closed session for